Good afternoon, Mr. Deepak Mathur. Nice to see you here.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Hi. Deepak. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, fine. Hi, Aki.
Yeah.
Hi Leo, hi Deepak.
Hi, Aki-san.
Hi, Deepak.
Hi.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Chris.
How are
Hi,
you?
Chris.
Yes.
Very sad day. Please. Nice to see everyone in good condition today.
Yeah. Oh, we got 54 people in already.
Mas Robi, make sure all speakers already join.
Mau ini naik plafon. Ya. Nah.
Arif not yet joined, Buni.
Okay.
Satria too, and
Pak Satrio.
Mas Arif Hamdani not yet join.
not yet. Sorry, Pak Arif Handamni and
Who else?
Patrick not yet
Patrick
joined.
from Singapore.
Patrick not yet.
Can you
Not yet joined. Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Contact Mas Arif Hamdani.
Hey, Patrick. Patrick, can you hear me? Patrick.
$15:55, we will start in 5 minutes.
Halo, selamat siang Pak Kuncoro, Pak Wisnu.
Selamat siang Pak Denny.
Iya, Ini sesuai arahan Pak Kuncoro, saya pakai jas nih.
Yeah, this is an official meeting. for
Official
us.
ya.
And this is a summit nonetheless.
Alright. And I don't use sarung also, Pak, so I use the full dress. Sesuai arahan Pak Kuncoro, saya pakai jas nih. I don't use sarung also, Pak, so I use the full dress.
Tes.
tes. Tes. Gawat nih.
Section of the IEEE, and also a professor of computer science in the University of Indonesia. Without further ado, please welcome Professor Wisnu Jatmiko.
Thank you, Pak Kuncoro. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, the Honorable Indonesia Minister of Research and Technology, Bapak Profesor Bambang Brojonegoro, and also IEEE Region 10 Director, Profesor Akinori Nishihara, IEEE Region 10 Director-elect, Mr. Deepak Mathur, IEEE Region 10 Industry Relation, Profesor Chris Lee, Chairman of GAX Ventura Pte Ltd, Dr. Patrick Liu, IEEE Indonesia Section Advisory Committee, Bapak Arif Hamdani Gunawan, Bapak Satrio Darmanto, Pak Doro, also Pak Kuncoro Wastuwibowo, and Pak Arifin. IEEE Section Government Relation, Bapak Dr. Denis Setiawan, IEEE Indonesia Section Industry Relation, Ibu Agnes Irwanti, other colleagues from IEEE Indonesia Relation, Government Relation, and Young Professional. Also from the IEEE Singapore Office, Dr. Liu and Ms. Ewell, thank you. And all distinguished guests and all the attenders, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming today in the Great Leadership Summit Engineering in COVID-19 first webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to have this opportunity to say a few words at the opening of the first webinar series, the title, When the Most Important Technology is a Teamwork. As we know, COVID-19 has become a global pandemic. All countries in the world must face difficulty time. This pandemic affect not only in developing country, but also in developing country as well. We all hope that this condition will be getting better soon. During this difficult condition, we hope that technology can appear as a solution. We understand that technology has contributed a lot of various problems and challenges faced by human. Government policy, by implementing social and physical distances in an effort to spread the virus, raises many challenges to be solved. As a researcher, we must be responsive and critical when looking the problem like this. On the other hand, this condition of social and physical distance also force people to move toward the stages of digitalization. So far, the online or virtual platform has been used by many fields such as business, education, and researcher. Many lecturer, meeting, seminar, and international conference are held by using online platform. At least this is the one of our contribution that can be given when conditions are difficult like this time. We hope for more other technological contribution during this pandemic time. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, IEEE is the largest research organization, especially in Indonesia. As a representative of IEEE Indonesia Section, I hope this organization will be a strategic place for collaboration and creating a teamwork in technology. We can share and discuss together in promoting the best solution during the pandemic like this period. Many of our scientific field can be also be collaborate with the researcher and the field of the health, economic, and the education. By working together, we can find the best solution of the problem. For the last, let me close my speech with the Indonesia proverb in bahasa, bersatu kita teguh, bercerai kita runtuh. In English, united we stand, divided we fall. Together we can for better life. Please stay healthy and stay safe. That's all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Wisnu, for the remarkable speech. We will also invite the chair of this event, Ms. Agnes Irwanti, to provide the activity report about this webinar series. Ms. Agnes is the IEEE Indonesian Section Industry Relation Coordinator, and also the IEEE Region 10 Women Engineering Committee members. So, Ms. Agnes, the time is yours.
Thank you for the time, Dr. Ford. Honorable Ministers of Research and Technology, Head of National Research and Innovation Agency of the Republic of Indonesia, Professor Bambang Brojonegoro, IEEE Region 10 Director, Professor Akinori, IEEE Region 10 Director-elect, Depak Matur, IEEE Region 10 Industry Relation, Professor Crisley, IEEE Indonesia Section Chair, Professor Wisnu Jatmiko, honorable speakers and participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Agnes Irwanti, serve you all as a chair of IEEE Leadership Summit 2020. This event initiated by Industry Relations, Government Relations, and Young Professional IEEE Indonesia Section in collaborations with the IEEE Region 10 Singapore Office. which, considering the current conditions in the region, carry out as webinar series. And this series will consist of 3 sessions, will be held on May, June, and July. And today is the first webinar. We are proudly to announce there are 443 registered participants, excluded speakers and committee. And we are very happy because today is also Indonesia National Education Day. And thank you very much, Professor Bambang Brojonegoro, for accepting our invitations to be keynote speaker. We are truly honored. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar topic is when the most important technology is teamwork, arise due to the crisis related to COVID-19 pandemic. This crisis is shocking and is directly disrupting our professional life, business, engineering, academy, management, and virtually all sectors. But the engineering professionals are not supposed to give up. We have chosen to maximize all available technology to overcome the crisis, bridging many limitations, uncertainties, and challenges. Engineers can use the main weapon, collaboration and teamwork, to overcome this situation. So today's speaker will convey how to break through an innovative way in utilizing technology for providing rapid communication access, in reaching those needing crucial assistance. In conclusion, I hope this webinar series would be the platform for engineers to create idea, implement it, and give beneficial contribution for the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ibu Agnes. It's an honorable that webinar today will be attended by Professor Akinori Nishihara Sensei. Please introduce Professor Akinori. Professor Akinori Nishihara is the director of the IEEE Region 10, Asia Pacific. He's also the professor at the Tokyo Institute of Technology, Japan. His research include the digital signal processing circuit and system and educating technology. Akinori Sensei has a PhD from Tokyo Institute of Technology and also a fellow IEEE and ISE. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Professor Akinori Sensei.
Okay, thank you very much for kind introduction. On behalf of the entire IEEE Region 10, I would like to congratulate the successful organization of this leadership summit on engineering in COVID-19 collaborative webinar on this Indonesia National Education Day, with the presence of Your Excellency, Professor Bambang Brojonegoro, Minister of Research and Technology, National Research and Innovation Agency, as a keynote speaker. Well, as Professor Wisnu told, IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization, having more than 420,000 members. And IEEE Region 10, or Asia Pacific region, is the biggest region among 10 regions of IEEE, having more than 130,000 members, which is more than 30%. As you know, the entire world now suffers from COVID-19 pandemic, and we are forced in some countries or advised in other countries to stay home. So it is very timely to have this webinar, and I thank IEEE Indonesia Section and IEEE Singapore Office. The theme of this webinar is engineering in COVID-19. As Agnes told, engineering professionals do not give up fighting with COVID-19, but fully utilize all available technology to overcome the crisis. Bridging many limitations, uncertainties, and challenges, engineers can use our main weapons, which are collaboration and teamwork. The main host of this webinar is our IEEE Indonesian section, one of the most active sections among 59 sections in our Region 10. The Indonesia section was established in 1988 as the 27th section in Asia and Pacific region. The Indonesia section membership grew very rapidly from only 272 in the year 2000 to 2,095 last year end, which is about 7.7 times growth in 10 years. The Indonesia section received a Region 10 Outstanding Medium Section Award in 2017 and Region 10 Humanitarian Technology Activity Outstanding Section Award in 2018. Another host is IEEE Singapore Office. The IEEE headquarters is in the United States, but there are 6 global offices outside the US, 5 in Asia and 1 in Europe. IEEE Asia Pacific Office, or IEEE Singapore Office, is the oldest among 6 global offices, and keeping our members, volunteers, and customers engaged, informed, and their activities coordinated. IEEE Region 10 operations are very much supported by Singapore office. IEEE's mission is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. I fully anticipate that this webinar will promote and carry forward the IEEE's agenda in all its aspects. Finally, I would like to thank all the organizing committee members of this webinar for their hard work in preparing this important event. I do hope all participants will enjoy and profit from this webinar. We thank you very much for your promised attendance and contributions. Now I declare the official opening of Leadership Summit, Engineering in COVID-19. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Thank you, Akinori Sensei. Very insightful for all of the IEEE member and all the audience here. Great appreciation from all of us here. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me also represent all of us in the IEEE to express our deep gratitude for Professor Bambang Permadi Sumantri Brojonegoro, who is willing to be here amid the government formidable task to fight the impact of coronavirus. Professor Bambang is the Minister of Research and Technology and the head of National Research and Innovation Agency, Republic of Indonesia. Previously, he was the Minister of Finance and also the Minister of National Development Planning in Indonesia. The title of the speech is "Where the Most Important Technology is Teamwork." We invite now Mr. Minister, please to deliver the keynote speech.
Thank you, Mr. Kuncoro. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, everybody. Very good evening. Akinori Sensei, Pak Wisnu Jatmiko, and all the participants of webinar of Leadership Summit of IEEE. It is an honor to be invited in this webinar, and I think the topic about the importance of teamwork is very timely, especially during this COVID-19 period. Let me start by saying that this COVID-19 certainly brings the global economy into recession. It's far worse than what we have experienced back in 1998, Asian financial crisis, as well as 2008 global financial crisis. If those two previous crises happens because of financial sector, this current COVID-19 happens in the real sector. It means there is big disruption in economic activity, and as you can see now, that global economy will certainly go into recession, and there is no country can escape from that recession. So with that kind of recession and the potential of the new normal, especially after COVID-19, it means that the economy in the future will be what I would say is the less contact economy. I mean, you can say it's contact-free economy, but I prefer to define the next economy would be less contact economy. When you are thinking about less contact economy, that will bring the digital economy into our mind. And certainly, we already started actually this kind of less contact economy prior to COVID-19. But then, because of COVID-19, everything has to be accelerated and everything has to be scaled up in a very short period of time. So this is a challenge for all the engineers, computer scientists, in order to catch up with the needs of less contact economy by providing the digital platform. Of course, now we have this webinar, which is basically the seminar held through the video conference. And since maybe almost a month now that I already work from home and doing a lot of meetings without even meeting real person. So it means that we start to live in a new normal. But then when you are talking about the economic recession, this is the time for us to prove that the so-called digital economy can be a good substitute for the real economy. Why? Because in the digital economy, the promise of digital economy that, of course, everything will be more efficient, but at the other end, there will be a potential of job loss. But at the same time, I remember prior to COVID-19, there was an argument in digital economy that you can still create the new type of jobs with the digital economy. And I think this is the time to prove. Otherwise, people will see that digital economy only the way to use less people, meaning the unemployment rate will be high. And as you know, once unemployment rate is high, then poverty rate will be higher. And of course, there will be a development problem. So I believe in this era, with the teamwork, we can start thinking how digital economy, even during this COVID-19 and during the new normal of less contact economy, can still create new types of jobs. And I think people in general waiting for this kind of hope from the digital economy. At the other side of this COVID-19, the beauty of teamwork in research and doing the technology transfer now becomes a realization, at least in Indonesian case. In Indonesia, since we had this first case of COVID-19 back in March 2nd, last month, then we realized that, for example, we depend so much on the import of medical equipment. Thus, the important thing in treating the COVID-19 patients, for example, ventilator, we have to really import 100%. The same for the test kit, both the PCR test kit as well as rapid test kit. We really depend on imports. And statistically, 90% of all medical equipment in Indonesia basically has to be imported. And now this is a time because unfortunately, this is pandemic, global pandemic. It means every country, every region will need the medical equipment as much as possible. It means that we cannot rely too much on the supply from other countries or supply from import. And the beauty of this situation, suddenly there are a lot of collaboration, there are a lot of teamwork, not only among universities and research lab, but also between the field of the knowledge. So for example, if you are talking about medical equipment, certainly it will be dominated by the engineers, by advancement of technology. But at the other end, once you want to be, once you want your equipment to be registered, then you need to get the license from Ministry of Health. Of course, in the Ministry of Health as well as our FDA, Food Drug Administration, there will be medical doctors, biologists, pharmacists that dealing with the issues. So this is what I call the beauty of collaboration, the beauty of teamwork during COVID-19, in which Indonesia is trying to set up our own needs of medical equipment as well as medicine in order to handle COVID-19. For ventilators, for example, now we already have 4 types of ventilators done by universities, lab, as well as private sector that will be ready to be produced in coming weeks. So we hope that this could be the emergence of the medical equipment industry in Indonesia. On the other side, we try also to create more maybe complex things like test kit, both PCR test kit and rapid test kit. To some extent, we still need to import some of the materials, but at least we do not have to depend on the purchase that we have to do from other countries. At least now we will be able in the next couple of weeks to produce our first PCR test kit as well as the rapid test kit. In Indonesia, as you know, in COVID-19, although the number of infected people keep growing, but the number I believe still underestimate because we haven't done all the massive tests. To do the massive tests, you need both this rapid test and PCR. So hopefully this so-called local initiative can help in accelerating the massive tests. On the medicine side, of course, we are now trying very hard also to work in vaccine, finding the vaccine or finding the medicine. And of course, when you are talking about the medication as well as the medicine, you need to do the teamwork, not only among the medical doctors, but also you need now the help of the computer science, big data, because data science or big data now is very critical, especially in the type of disease like COVID-19. Why? Because COVID-19, because it spreads so rapidly, then you need to do the tracing. When you do the tracing, and then you're trying to find the location, you're trying to find people that could be infected, then you need the support of both big data and as well as the artificial intelligence. So I believe this COVID-19 at one side, of course, this is our biggest challenge so far as human being. But at the other end, for you as engineers, this is an opportunity to create or to innovate in order to help anybody in dealing with COVID-19. Last but not least, of course, I hope that this webinar leadership summit can strengthen the collaboration not only among the field of knowledge, but more importantly, the global teamwork or the global collaboration. I believe, for example, in finding the vaccine, I don't think any single country or any single company can be the one that leading the vaccine discovery. I think vaccine discovery has to be really a global collaboration because this is the ultimate one. If you cannot find the vaccine, then we never know when this thing will be really over. Well, so effort to push ourselves toward collaboration in vaccine, in medicine, and of course also in medical equipment, I think will be very critical in dealing with COVID-19. And of course, at the end of the day, the digital will take over as the most important economic growth in the future, in the new normal. But please, my request to anybody who is expert or who is developing the digital economy or digital platform, please make sure that the digital can fulfill the promise to create the new type of jobs rather than just making some jobs losses. So I think that will be my remark. Again, thank you very much for the invitation for this webinar. Hopefully this webinar summit will be a success. Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to the Mr. Minister, Professor Bambang Permadi Sumantri Brojonegoro. There are some highlights in the speech, a new normal life, and of course the teamwork between all of the sectors. Thank you so much, Mr. Minister. We are now starting the panel sessions. There are 5 speakers from the panel session and followed by question and answers. And the first panel speakers will be Mr. Deepak Mathur. Please allow me to inform about the short bio of Mr. Deepak. Mr. Deepak is the Director-elect of the IEEE Region 10. It means he will be the next IEEE Region 10 Director in 2021. Presently, Mr. Deepak is working on high-tech oil well logging systems to analyze the property of subsurface to explore the possibility of hydrocarbons. Mr. Deepak has the Bachelor of Engineering from IIT Rockers, India, and of course the MBA. He also a complete Advanced Management Program from IIM Calcutta. We invite now Mr. Deepak to deliver the presentation. Mr. Deepak, time is yours.
Thank you, Ford, for your kind introduction. And I would like to really express my great gratitude for His Excellency Professor Bong Bong, and especially for his thoughtful and excellent keynote. So, hi friends, let me thank IEEE Indonesia Section for inviting me to this Leadership Summit, which is the first webinar series of Indonesia Section. And this pandemic has really disrupted and adversely affected almost all sectors worldwide, but many organizations are introspecting and brainstorming to find opportunities in the present crisis. And that is the right attitude and that is the right approach. And it is great that Indonesia Section is coming forward and organizing such brainstorming sessions in the form of webinar. The topic of the webinar is when the most important technology is teamwork. And this is what we profess at IEEE. Teamwork and collaborative approach are embedded with the thought process of IEEE since its inception. Next slide, please. So this is what I talked about the IEEE's perspective. We think at IEEE and we profess at IEEE that teamwork and collaborative approach is really what we profess, and that is what is embedded in our thought process. Next slide, Mr. Ford. Those who are not really aware of IEEE, the participants who are IEEE is world's largest technical and professional organization dedicated for advancing technology for humanity. It was founded in 1884 as American Institute of Electrical Engineers. This was the era of invention of electricity, and electricity was being put to use. The founders believed in working as team in the field of technology and founded this great organization. In the year 1912, when electronics and wireless technology were playing significant role for the benefit of humanity, Institute of Radio Engineers was established on the same model as it was for American Institute of Electrical Engineers. As we grew further, these two organizations merged together because there was a lot of interdependence and formed IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And that was the year 1963. This was a teamwork and collaborative approach, again, of the visionaries who were founding this world-leading organization. And as we progress further, computer science, software engineering, and many other engineering, non-engineering disciplines and science disciplines became part of IEEE. And today, IEEE is no longer called by its full name, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and it is only known as IEEE because it has embraced many disciplines other than electrical and electronics engineering. The full form of the IEEE is now only used in its legal documents. So this is truly a collaborative approach and teamwork. And that's today's topic, which we are doing for this webinar. Next slide, please. Mr. Ford, next slide. Yeah. So IEEE is very strong organization. Previous one, Ford, previous slide. Mr. Ford. Yeah. So IEEE is very strong organization. It has around 420,000 members with presence in 160 countries. 30% of its members are students. This is the highlight. And that shows it has great future. For its organization, it is divided into 10 regions, and there are 342 sections in these 10 regions. And we are in Asia Pacific region, and that comes under region 10. We can go to the next slide. Oh, that is okay. That is okay. There are 39 technical societies, 7 technical councils representing the wide range of IEEE technical interests. There are over 5 million documents in its digital library. That is a very rich resource for researchers. There are over 1,250 active standards, and it sponsors almost 5 conferences every day. This is what the strength of IEEE is. Next slide. So during time of COVID-19, IEEE could quickly assess the crisis and offered series of facilities and resources to facilitate scientists to further their research, to find solutions to various problems arising out of this crisis. Our many technical societies are inviting COVID-19 related articles for free publication in IEEE Explore to enable to make this available to research community all over the world. But all articles will be going through normal reviewing process so that the standards of articles are maintained, and these articles will be available for a period of 1 year from the date of publication. IEEE is also offering free direct access to collection of various COVID-19 related research articles, standards to help researchers understand, manage, and combat the different aspects of the pandemic. IEEE Foundation is leading a special campaign to raise awareness, forge partnership, and generate funds to facilitate COVID-19 related research and activities. IEEE Dataport hosts COVID-19 datasets to facilitate research. Apart from these benefits, IEEE made all its meetings virtual. We recently had our Region 10 general body meeting on WebEx, which was attended by more than 100 members. We had discussions in that meeting, we had presentations, we had question and answer sessions, even we did voting on motions. It was a very successful meeting. IEEE has also made many of its conferences virtual to keep going with its research, publications, and education activities, which almost all businesses are closed and people are working from home. So we are keeping our activities live. Many of our organizational units are organizing webinars for knowledge sharing, and there is a great participation by members and non-members. And this webinar by IEEE Indonesia Section is one such effort. Similarly, many of our sections, chapters, councils, student branches are organizing various competitions on COVID-19 related topics to ignite our young minds. Next slide. IEEE can leverage further in current situation for working on solutions of the problems related to COVID-19 pandemic. Our technical societies can collaborate together to work on various problems arising out of this unprecedented condition of pandemic. We can define various problems, and societies together can give a call for proposal inviting possible solutions for the problems. And we can do this within a shorter time frame so that we have the relevance of the solution. IEEE can further collaborate at local and global levels working on solutions. It can work with organizations like WHO, understanding their exact requirement, and thus bringing technical solutions. Similarly, our organizational units can collaborate at district, state, and national levels to address local issues where technology can offer solutions. Very recently, one of the students from my own section made a working terrain robot to serve food and medicine to patients in the hospital, which is very good in today's environment when there are chances of infections to medical staff in view of COVID-19. And the details of the video you can go and see on my Facebook page. There are many such projects and are being done by our members and have already been done by our members. So the next thing what we can do that, we can take such projects to the product, as Professor Bangwang was explaining that there is a need to bring, to develop devices, to develop systems, to develop medicines, to develop vaccines and instruments in-house. So we should do project, we should take project to the product level, and then we can further take that product to next higher level with the collaboration with the industries. So IEEE is already providing a lot of resources, opportunities, and support which are required during present scenario. We need to use this crisis, and we have to turn into an opportunity. Before closing, I would like to say that we are in the 21st century. So the problems of 21st century cannot be solved with the mindset of 20th century, with the 19th century institutions. So we have to think and act differently. With this, I would like to end my presentation and thank Indonesia Section for the opportunity. Thank you.
Very impressive, Mr. Dipak Matur. Thank you. That's an elegant introduction to our organization, including how we can work together to collaborate in some innovation to overcome this crisis. Also, a reminder for all the audience that you may raise questions now by sending message via Q&A features on the Zoom application. The panel will answer all your questions after all speakers finish presenting. The next speaker is Professor Chris Lee. Prof. Lee is the Industry Relation Coordinator of the IEEE Region 10, teaching the collaboration among industry and academic world in Asia Pacific. He received his Master and PhD from University of Massachusetts. Currently, he is a professor at National Cheng Kung University, Republic of China. So we invite now Prof. C.K. Lee.
Yes, thank you very much. It is an honor to be here. Assalamualaikum to everybody. Let me try to,
Waalaikumsalam.
thank you. Let me try to share my screen to everybody. I wanted to see if, to know if everybody can see my screen now, my slides. Okay, so yes, let me go on. Right, once again, it's a nice pleasure to be here, and I love to talk about how we bridge industry, academia, and government during and after pandemic outbreak through teamwork. Now, if we look back to the history of pandemics, you see that mankind has been coping with pandemics all over history. Now, there was Black Death. When we come closer, within the next century, within the last century, we see that we had the Spanish flu in year 1918. And also, we were looking at 1981, some of the HIV/AIDS that people are very familiar with. Now, especially, we have learned, Taiwan have learned since SARS about pandemic, because we weren't able to know, to get a lot of information from SARS. So now, if we have learned the lessons that we have learned from history now, and also from current COVID-19 pandemics, we see that we need to be able to start from teamwork. Now, we need to recognize the crisis very early on. So Taiwan has been seeing the crisis, and we were trying to do early preparation. So our government has been trying to come up with the National Health Command Center so that we would have early preparation. Now, we would also manage the crisis so that we have fast response. And in a similar manner, you see that New Zealand has also been trying to have some travel restrictions to New Zealand within the country. Now, subsequently, in order to be effective, some of the things that we have learned was also to be able to screen. The first step is to be able to do fast screening. Now, Korea has also been doing an excellent job. They were trying to do a point-to-care testing so that they're able to do kind of like a drive-through test, which was very effective in bringing down the number of cases that they were finding positive. Now, the other thing after screening is to be able to track. Now, after many people, say, for example, came back from international foreign countries, now we were actually being put into quarantine. Now you see that Singapore also did an excellent job in terms of having contact software. So that was actually very efficient in keeping track of people's social distances also. Of course, we also have to consider the privacy issues that people are looking at. So in addition to that, as the Minister of Indonesia, as Professor Bambang was talking about, we also need to be able to collaborate together. So Taiwan has a very good electronics health record system. So together with big data and also together with the government as a teamwork, we were tracking all these things. We were also working together as a team. So you see that the National Health Command Center of Taiwan has been leading the efforts in doing all the things that I was talking about in the last slide. And we were also seeing that every country all over the world are working together. We see that not only the government, but the industry, say for example, the industry in the United States, the big tech companies, Facebook, Google, Amazon, in addition to also investing a lot of efforts into the digital research, they were also trying to do a lot of investments or to try to donate a lot of money and effort into different areas, such as the small businesses, such as healthcare, and also many other areas. Now, in addition, you see that, say, for example, Pakistan, there's also joint collaborative efforts in terms of academia and also industry role in Pakistan. So we actually see that all these problems that we are facing needs to be done as a teamwork. Not only teamwork, but also mutual trust. So academia, industry, and government has to all team up with mutual trust against COVID-19, as we are seeing in the situation right now. Now, it is a very hard decision for the government, always. For example, in United States, in Italy, in India also, because we need to balance between life and livelihood. We see that in other, this is one of these hospitals in Wuhan. And also, if you lock down, in order to be having the well-being for people, you're also locking down. So this is Milan, as we were seeing during pandemic. So after lockdown, it will slow the economy down. And at the same time, we also need to consider whenever Taiwan is having a national holiday, we are very much afraid because people may get together, and that may be community infection that we have. So the government all over the world is also working with the people together to see what should actually happen. And we are always trying to balance between the well-being and also the economy for humanity. So this is not only during the pandemic, not only during COVID-19, but we're also looking after, because the economy has to recover. So if you are too harsh in terms of the lockdown and all these restrictions that you have in the society and in the community, it will take a longer time to recover after the pandemic. Now, in addition to that, everybody has to work together, as we are seeing, and empathy, not only for others, but also for society and nature as a whole. Now, one of the examples that we have in Taiwan is that when we were trying to distribute the facial mask, now many people started having empathy for the medical workers, because the risk of what they have for their job, for their occupation, is much higher than others. So out of empathy, there was an initiative in the movement in which in Taiwan, they were saying that we will have the facial masks for the people who need it the most. So this is actually empathy for others, the society. Now, also, my son, who is doing his undergraduate studies in University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, the kids are also, undergraduate students are also teaming up. And they are also having an initiative, which is called Students Against COVID. And they are teaming up with UC Berkeley students and also students in, say, for example, Great Britain, University of College of London, and also the medical students with Bristol University and Birmingham University. So when I was talking to him and I was asking him why he was doing this, he was saying, hey, Dad, we're not doing this because we want to be famous. We're doing this because we're just part of society. We're part of the world. They just felt that they need to do something. So everybody is united from our heart. So from that, we see that we are part of the world and also Mother Nature. So once again, as Professor Bang has been saying, we need to all work together, not only from the vaccine screening, not only for producing solutions, and also producing the vaccines. The whole world has to work together so that we empathize and reach out via global teamwork. And as our chair-elect, our director-elect, Deepak has been saying, IEEE is advancing technology for humanity. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Professor Lee. one of very important one message about empathy for others and nature as well. And the next speaker will be Mr. Arif Hamdani Gunawan. Mr. Arif Hamdani was the chair of the IEEE Indonesia Section from 2006-2008. He's currently the Assistant Vice President of Government Relations, Telkom Indonesia. He received his master from University of Indonesia, majoring in Strategic Intelligence Study. Mr. Arif Hamdani, this is the time for you to deliver the presentation. Time is yours.
Thank you. I will deliver time work in engineering. What the engineer can learn from global collaboration to overcome COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, allow me to deliver our deepest condolences for all people who have been victims of COVID-19 and our highest empathy for everyone who fights against COVID-19. Here is my outline. First, engineering process. Second, benevolent panopticon, and the third, new normal. As you may already know, the engineering process consists of output, input, and process. Regarding to overcome COVID-19 pandemic, the main output or final objective is to stop COVID-19 or to save the economy. Meanwhile, in the input, we are facing various data, medical record, clinical and virological data, and last but not least, human mobility data. So we are about facing complexity of data gathering. Moreover, one of required process as the alternative to avoid spreading is human mobility data processing, which have two engineering constraints. First, secure process, and second, autonomous process. It seems there is a dichotomy between stop COVID-19 and save the economy. The final objective should not be seen separately, either as health problem only nor economic problem only. Thanks to MIT for explaining explicitly about we can do both. David Rothman in MIT Technology Review explained, how do we choose between stopping COVID and reviving the economy? Fortunately, it doesn't have to be a choice. We can do both. Therefore, to achieve final objective requires a great teamwork to solve both health problem and economic problem. Let's go to second part, the benevolent panopticon. The panopticon is a type of institutional building and system of control designed by Jeremy Bentham in 18th century. The concept of the design is first, to allow all prisoners of an institution to be observed by single security guard. This is a secure process. Second, to be observed without the inmates being able to tell whether they are being watched. This is autonomous process. This is a prison, a building that supported by secure and autonomous process. Genevieve Bell in MIT Technology Review explained, fighting the virus may require handling over extremely personal data. Is this a chance to reinvent the way we collect and share private information so it can help rather than hurt? Secure process concern to confidentiality, integrity, availability, and privacy. Meanwhile, autonomous process concern to updating, unintrusiveness, and massiveness. The autonomous process is really relevant to support big data, and today is big data era. Therefore, the process requires high-skilled teamwork people to provide security and autonomous. Before pandemic COVID-19, a few months ago, we are in normal condition. Currently, we are in pandemic condition, and we are about facing the new normal condition as well. Before pandemic or normal condition, we have already moved from old condition to normal condition. In old condition, people must move to work. Meanwhile, in normal condition, working might move to people. Pretty similar for students. In old condition, people have to move to learn. Meanwhile, in normal condition, learning might move to people. So in all conditions, everything, such working and learning, might be done in certain location only, such as office and school. Meanwhile, in normal condition before pandemic, everything such as working and learning might be done in mobility basis. People enjoy to meet up. People comfort with asynchronous communication or not real time, such as texting through SMS or WhatsApp. Moreover, mostly people use text basis rather than voice, and the list is video. Let's see learning move to people. There are some interesting COVID-19 learning courses from various universities such as Harvard, Johns Hopkins, Imperial College London, and University of Toronto. The courses are provided in many subjects from clinical, prevention, law, and others. They are weekly basis, similar to university teaching model. I put the URL information on the bottom of the slide. You may join as you like. In management engineering, we can concern work from home. In social engineering, we concern to physical distancing. In communication engineering, we concern to have synchronous communication as well as video communication. People tend to communicate in real-time basis or in interactive mode. In the new normal, we still have many possibilities facing new normal. There are uncertainty in management engineering, such as will we go to anything from home? So entertainment meeting might be done from home, or perhaps anything from everywhere, or simply back to mobility basis. In social engineering, we don't know, is there any other distancing besides physical distancing? Or will we stay at physical distancing again? Or perhaps we simply back to meet-up lifestyle again, similar to before pandemic condition. In communication engineering, we have many possibilities in new normal. Perhaps not only synchronous communication, but also entering predictive communications. Perhaps not only video communication, but also holographic communication and virtual reality communications. Or perhaps we continue lifestyles of synchronous communication based on video rather than text and voice. Or perhaps we can back to frequent usage of text basis in asynchronous communication. Therefore, it requires engineering team in various science for facing new normal. The collaborative of various science soon or later will lead us to big science era. National Geographic in 2013 told us that science is getting bigger. Just about every scientific discipline, astronomy, conservation, drug development, genetics, neuroscience, physics, and others, is organizing massive collaboration of researchers in the name of reaching massive goals. This year, Seth Franklin Blakely, a medical epidemiologist, told us we need a big science approach for developing corona vaccines. We need a global public-funded big science approach that encourages collaboration and the sharing of information resources. There is also a big science project launched by Princeton University called Science Response. It is a project coordinated by various universities. This collaboration has been set up by some big science, focused on particle physics and related fields, and also is supported by software engineers, computational science researchers, and others. It's about to make connection to enable to non-medical researchers to contribute to understanding and combating this global problem and or its economic and societal impacts. Okay, I will close my presentation by quote from the book, Managing Telecommunication Project. Teamwork is another basic ingredient of success. A group of people with the right skill could well produce a product and perhaps do this within all the project constraints. But with effective framework, this can be achieved much more easily, more quickly, and will provide higher quality results. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Arif Hamdani Gunawan. It's always interesting to see that humanity is not falling, and not even our business, research, all activities, thanks to the technology and the teamwork of the engineers like you, like us. So the next speaker is Dr. Patrick Liu. Dr. Patrick Liu is the chairman of GEX Ventures PTA Ltd, a company winning multiple awards, including the prestigious E50 award. He held the position of regional director at the Gartner Group. Dr. Liu himself has also won numerous awards, including the Global Leader Award, Asia Pacific Entrepreneurship Award, and the Entrepreneur of the Year Award for social contributions. So, audience, let's have some inspiration from Dr. Patrick Liu.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the honor of presenting at the Leadership Summit, Engineering Response to the COVID-19 Pandemic. Before I begin, I'd like to express my gratefulness and thankfulness to all our friends in Indonesia. Since Singapore became an independent nation in 1965, Indonesia has always been a big brother to Singapore. And if it's not because of Indonesia and Indonesians' support and help given to Singapore, I doubt we can survive, let alone achieve whatever success that we have achieved. So thank you so much for all your help all these years. The COVID-19 pandemic has been called the crisis of this century. But there's another major force that has been disrupting global economy and global community, and it will continue to disrupt global community and global economy. That force is technology. Technology is a good servant but a bad master. It is both a force for good and a force for evil. In recent years, we have seen how technology has been used to influence political elections. We have seen technology being used to spread fake news. And even during this pandemic, we have seen technology being used to divide and destabilize society. And our good Minister Bambang have just suggested that technology have been used to disrupt jobs, careers, enterprises, and many other organizations and cause undue hardship without any solution to resolve these undue hardship. So if we are going to leverage on technology to achieve greater good, perhaps we need to reimagine technology. We need to redesign technology. We need to refresh technology. Hence my presentation, Technology is Dead, Long Live Technology, Finding Purpose, Values, and Fulfillment through Technology. First of all, we must be mindful that technology is a double-edged sword. In the right hands, it can be used to achieve greater good for humanity. In the wrong hands, it can be used to fulfill personal and partisan interest, values, and aspiration. I want to do a mental exercise with all of you. I want you to imagine that you are Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is now the richest man in the world. He is the founder of Amazon. And Amazon has the potential to become the largest company in the world and potentially the largest company in humanity. Jeff Bezos and his team operates Amazon largely on cyberspace. In other words, they have many ways and means to minimize their tax exposures. They can shift their corporate profits to countries that have low tax regime. And by the way, this is perfectly legal and perfectly acceptable in many jurisdictions. So imagine you are Jeff Bezos. What would you do? Would you focus and protect your financial bottom line? Or will you also consider social bottom line, environmental bottom line, and spiritual bottom line. My point is very simply this. If some leaders, and I'm not talking about Jeff Bezos now, if some leaders cannot manage technology or they are unable to do so, then how can all the other leaders help these leaders? How can the other leaders help them to manage and control technology? The pace of change in technology has been faster than at any one point in history. But I submit to you, technological innovation has to be developed, has to be underpinned and guided by moral innovation. What is good for humanity? Ethical innovation and legal innovation. What is right for the group, for the organization, for the communities, as well as for the country? Spiritual innovation. Is technology serving a higher calling and a worthier cause? Technology exists to serve humanity and not the other way around. How can technology be used to contribute to exponential improvement in quality of life and not explosive degradation? I submit to you the way to do it starts with the team. The team of people behind the technology. The team of people that's developing the technology, deploying the technology, using the technology, and ensuring that the technology makes the world a better place to live in. You probably have heard that they say TEAM or TEAM stands for Together Everybody Achieves More. But in reality, we all know that with groupthink, with dominant influences, and mass hysteria, very often when you have more people in a team, they don't achieve more. So what kind of team should we look for? I submit to you, we need efficacious team. And so TEAM to me stands for teams that are efficacious, achieve more. What are efficacious teams? Efficacious team comprise of team members that work well together and they work effectively and efficiently. In other words, they do the right task and they do the right task in the right way and they work in alignment. In other words, they have common platform in terms of adopting the right plan, the right model, the right structure, and the right processes to fulfill shared mission to achieve greater good for humanity. The rise of more advanced technology should enlighten all of us to focus on what truly matters. As a result, humanity should become more purposeful, productive, and progressive. Technology should help all of us to do well and to do good in a better, cheaper, and faster way. In conclusion, as technology become more and more advanced, we need more and more efficacious team to ensure that technology can contribute to the greater good for humanity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Lee. The message that Dr. Patrick Lee delivered is very aligned with IEEE, a technology for humanity. It's become the tagline for IEEE for more than, I guess, 100 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker will be Dr. Denny Setiawan. Dr. Denny Setiawan holds the position as the Director of Spectrum Policy and Planning, Ministry of Communication and IT, since January 2018. Also lecturing at University of Mercu Buana and serving as the Vice Chair of Government Relation of IEEE Industry Section. The time and the place is Dr. Setiawan. Please, Dr. Setiawan.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I would like to congratulate IEEE Indonesia Section, IEEE R10, and Singapore Office to successfully conduct this very interesting event, which conducted at the same time as the National Education Day in Indonesia. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so we're talking about the team, and you're right that things in Indonesia, the handling of the COVID-19. Well, now we set up the task force and led by the National Disaster Management Office, the Ministry of ICT, and also the industry is part of that team to support the connectivity and the broadband and support the health infrastructure and so on and so forth. So I see that we found the consolidated data, from various regions, the consolidated and provided to the website, and every day in 3 p.m. is broadcast by TV News. We can find the latest update, and also we can find the mapping in the website, the covid19.go.id. Next slide, please. So from the Ministry of Communication IT, I think we also concerned about the how to maintain quality of service, and we see from the statistics from OpenSignal that most of the country, including Indonesia, the trend of increasing of Wi-Fi because of people working from the home is increasing from day to day, especially when the government given more stringent condition to move to order to stay at home. And the 4G download speed also things become more and more problem because the traffic in certain but is more the traffic is moving from big cities to the residential. Next. So I think we see also that what the traffic contribute to the increasing most is because the policy of working from home and online education, the online training, and also video conference, video streaming, and also entertainment also is increased a lot. So we need to make sure that quality of service things can be provided. Next slide, please. I think this is very interesting. We found that there's from research that because of the this COVID-19, most of Indonesians now spend most of time at home and watch a lot more TV. This is very interesting. It used to be because we are working in the office and with some traffic, we don't have enough meal. Reduce eating out and switch more online and consuming more jamu, because I think, and I found out that in the first week of the problem pandemic, we have difficulties to find herbs or jamu in the market, and I think we also encourage, as well as the other countries, here is Ramadan, and people used to be mudik, people used to pulang kampung. So it will improve the spread of the disease. And you see that map previously that most of the cases, mostly in big cities in Jakarta and so on and so forth. So we'd like to encourage the government not to mudik or to going home, the village in the Lebaran. Next. And this is also, I think we see that most of the Indonesian also increase from the time to time. And so it's not only in big cities, but also in small cities. Next, please. So I think I found in this board of innovation.com, we see that this impact not only happen, but but we see that some of industry very high affected, like tourism and hospitality. We saw the news in the Bali, the tourism a lot of tourists coming, very get impact in Bali because of this pandemic. Also sports, yeah, we see that even Olympic in Tokyo or our football game is closing. So how that can engineer can help the situation, yeah. And I saw some articles that with using uh, virtual reality or augmented reality, that tourism we can still have some opportunity to give some experience on get the experience on the tourism on that side without at least to have some perception, not to have augmented or virtual reality. So, for example, in Indonesia, we have a lot of wedding ceremony, right? If, for example, my daughter also in that business. Since that COVID-19, there's no reception allowed more than 10 people. So how this business can survive? So I think the need from engineers can help probably for augmented reality or virtual reality that we can help these other sectors, not only for ICT, can we survive. Next. Next, please. So for as I mentioned that this is the from World Bank recommendation. Some measure from public policy broadband, we need to boosting internet capacity for health facilities. We need to manage the QoS, but I think the challenge in Indonesia, and I think as well as some other countries, to that not all the areas have similar quality of service, even broadband access. Next, please. Next. So this is our mapping of infrastructure. So Indonesia is really depend most previously on the mapping mobile 4G for broadband, and only 7 million people, 7 million subscribers from fixed broadband. So and some areas even still have no access of 4G. And if you see that the fiber optic connectivity, we still have difficulties in some areas. So I think they cannot only providing the 2G. So I think this is a quite challenge for us implement the working from home online or school that we face that some situation to share the mobile phone or share the access from parents to student and so on and so forth. Even yes, because there's no access, the teacher himself going to the student home one by one. Next. Next, please. So what did the government industry, sorry, before the support, before that, please. So we, as mentioned, that provide the QoS, we also encourage the industry to provide some subsidy, to provide some offer, the discount of some to the school online and so on and so forth, and to support the emerging hospital. And I think this also we encourage the telehealth and telemedicine application to self-diagnose. And the others is as the tracking geofencing, we also introduced the application called Peduli Lindungi. It's like geofencing, geotracking. And the others, I think the one important thing is this COVID-19 is hoax information. So we also provide some guideline, which one the use is hoax, which one is not. So I think that's one of the various initiative that taken by government industry. Next. So instead of, a lot of difficulties, challenges we had, I think there's still some opportunity, yeah, like telemedicine, telehealth, take payment, and even when I read some articles from Forbes, I think the ministry said that this crisis enforced us to fasten the process of digital transformation transform. For example, before the crisis, my office used to have a face-to-face and paper-based transaction, paper-based notice, and so forth. Because this stay-at-home, working at home environment, so we are forced to implement digital signature, right? So this is, I think, one of the opportunities that we can see. Of course, there are a lot of challenges, but how can engineers contribute to solve problem? I think we cannot do alone. We need to collaborate, research in field e-commerce, telecommunication, education, health and safety. We need to find some problem. We need to come up with, as I mentioned, how we can, as engineer, can solve the problem with our knowledge and the techniques that we had. I think that concludes my remarks, and hopefully that we can the crisis will be end soon, and we can see you in the near future in the new normal. Thank you very much. That's all, Pak. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to Dr. Denny. Sorry for our slow response. It's very, yeah. Okay, so after the presentation from Dr. Denny Setiawan, we will start the open discussion. We are now entering 2 minutes of the question and answer, I guess. Yeah, we can have 20 to 25 minutes. Regretfully, to avoid noise and others, the audience may only submit the question using the form. So Leo, the chair of the IEEE Singapore Office, and Nia, the vice chair of the IEEE Indonesia Section, have selected some questions for us. The first question is from Professor Lance Fung from the IEEE Region 10. I guess he's a young professor pretending to be a life senior member of the IEEE. Hey, Prof. So the question is, one of the major effects of the current crisis is the reduced economic activities and financial transactions. This is having a huge effect to many of the relying on the business from daily activities. What are the suggestions and help that could be offered from the leaders? Actually, I want to offer this question to all the speakers, but this one's focus to the leader. So maybe I can return to Pak Denny, to Dr. Denny. Maybe you can answer the first question. It is on.
Okay. Yeah, I try to do to answer in my limited knowledge. So I think so. What we need, of course, this is a very challenging situation, and we need to collaborate. But I believe, yeah, and if there's some question, if there's some challenge, it will be the opportunity, right? It will be the opportunity to find some solution. It will open some new business. Of course, it not easy, but we have to focus on one by one from what the most important thing, what most urgent challenge in the country itself. So I think that's short my response. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Denny. Maybe other speaker may want also to answer the questions. Dr. Liu, from business perspective, I guess. Or maybe from Dr. Yes, please.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely this is the time which was never imagined. It's a very different kind of crisis, where at one place that disease is is spreading, that is not visible, and social distancing is becoming norm. So one thing is that once the COVID-19 is over, we all will be having a different lifestyle, and that will have a impact for long term. So as far as the economy is concerned, as far as the business is concerned, everything is going to be redefined. Uh, I have heard that many of the organizations, they decided that they will be working from home even after this pandemic. So businesses are going to be redefined, and as professional, as technologists, or as a business personals, we have to have a come out with some out of box thinking. We have to make new businesses, and we have to become entrepreneur. Entrepreneur will be the really working in future, because we cannot depend upon the organization for the job. Rather, job seeker, we have to become job provider. This kind of the mindset we have to bring uh, in the industry, and we have to work from that angle.
Thank you, Mr. Macher. I think that's a good perspective from the academic and also from the society leader. But I want also a perspective from our economic leader. Maybe there is another perspective. Or Professor Lee, can you suggest an answer from our industry collaboration, how we can overcome the pressure to our economy and society like this?
Yes. I think can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
The question is actually, one of the major effects of the crisis is the reduced economic activities and financial transaction.
Yes.
What can we suggest to help? Then what can we offer from the leaders? So the emphasis in economy and financial.
Right. I think, as I was saying, in the slides that we were saying, there is always a balance between the financial lockdown, and also the economy and the financial pressure. So once again, I would say that we still need to fall back to teamwork, and also to have mutual trust and also empathy, so that whenever there is, this is kind of like a feedback control system. So whenever there is some improvement in terms of the pandemics, say if we have fewer cases, then very quickly, as a teamwork, the whole society, the whole country will be able to relax the lockdown, so that businesses can go back to normal. So by doing that, and all these has to be done with teamwork and mutual trust, so that things can react very fast, so that people can get back to normal life and to relax the financial pressure. Yes, that's what I think. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Professor Lee. Pak Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind to mention the second question?
Okay. Thank you so much, Pak Joro. We have actually second and third question in my desk. I would like to combine it, and then I would like to share to all the panelists. As mentioned by Professor Christie, that the pandemic actually already happened for more than 1,000 years, starting from many diseases like flu, and then we still remember in early 2000 we have a SARS, and there are some other pandemic like MERS, and currently we have a COVID-19. Coronavirus is part of kind of what we call it, the type of COVID-19. So coronavirus actually happened is more than 20 years actually. the very basic question is what kind of technology that we can use to prevent those kind of pandemic? Because as we have so many kind of high-tech technology, but the very basic thing, how come we unable to prevent those kind of pandemic? We have a biotechnology, we have IoT, even though some of the technology from satellites and everything, the very basic is how can we use those technology to prevent those pandemic to be happen in the future? That's the first. And then the second question, I would like to combine it with mitigation, because as we look at in COVID-19, there are so many kind of situation, even from the leader of the nations that look at COVID-19 is not kind of a serious pandemic. But when happens, the mitigation has become the key point and key factors. So many countries takes a lot of effort to doing such kind of mitigation, from the economics until the society. That's happens all of the kind of chaos. So the key point is how technology is able to provide some mitigation in the futures. These two questions I would like to share all panelists. Probably starting from Professor Chris Lee. Would you mind to answer those two questions? Thank you.
I forgot to unmute myself. I
Yes,
think the question that you see how we can actually prevent.
Yes.
Prevention is always something which is very important. I think we still fall back to the theme of this webinar that we have today. In order to prevent, things do happen, but when I think of your question, when you talk about prevention of a pandemic, I would think that we have to start with teamwork and mutual trust and be very open to the information that we have. Because then if we spread it out and share this information with our friends all over the world, I think that is the best way to prevent the pandemic from coming. Yes. Okay. What about the second? Can you?
Mitigation?
Yes. The second question?
About mitigation, kind of technology that we can use for the mitigation if the pandemic happen in the future like this again.
When you say mitigation, what?
Yeah, mitigation of disaster. If this kind of pandemic happen again in the future.
I don't understand what you mean by mitigation.
Mitigation is kind of a continuation. It means if this pandemic happen again, how can we able to prevent this chaos, especially like economic and society? Because currently COVID-19 provides some of chaos. There are so many hoax, so many people misunderstood about kind of happens with COVID-19. So what kind of technologies that we can use it to prevent or to help the mitigation?
I think the best technology, the best weapon that I think of again is teamwork, and from experience, because from Taiwan, say for example, we started, we didn't have a lot of experience with SARS, and we did suffer quite some consequences during SARS. So from experience, we built up, say for example, Taiwan, we have the National Health Control or Command Center. So I think from experience, and then which is accumulated, I think this is the best technology and weapon to tackle future things so that it will not happen again. I think this is the best example that we have shown the world.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Chris Lee. I would like to share this question actually to Dr. Dennis Diawan. What actually in the point of Indonesia perspective anyway. Yeah. Please, Dr. Dennis.
Yeah, I think what we learned from this pandemic is, I agree with you that teamwork, and we set up the task force now in COVID-19. Used to be different ministry, Ministry of Health, Ministry of others, and now the president asked us to be part of the task force COVID-19 led by the BNPB, National Disaster Management. And one thing I think we need to, because I think the problem is the data, yeah, the data of health of Indonesia is still not digitized. So it's spread over. And so I think we need to, I think it's a challenge and opportunity for us, how we can have consolidation of data and without, violating the privacy of data. Because I understand that from the law of the health Ministry of Health law, so we cannot open the privacy data of health data from one hospital to another. So we need to change because they need the consolidate of data, and we need also the consolidated information. Who is trusted? Because too many information now, and then everybody confused. So I think we need to consolidate the data, and which now we set up the COVID-19.go.id, and a lot of I think the news from the TV and the news as mainstream to at least provide some more respected or more trustable information.
Thank you so much, Dr. Denny. Thank you so much. I would like to share this question to Dr. Patrick. Dr. Patrick, would you mind answer this question? It's because it's very critical and one of the best practice that Singapore actually already share about the prevention and how the Singapore able to provide some mitigation. Please, Dr. Patrick.
I like to take this on a global level, national level, as well as an organization and individual level. I think on a global level, the pandemic has taught us that the virus has no respect for borders and boundaries. So I think moving forward, we need to bring the world together because we all share common interests, common values, common aspiration. So we need technology to help the leaders of the world to communicate better, collaborate better, and co-create solutions better. So from the time we discovered about COVID-19 and the time the world started to respond, there was a time gap. And I think this time gap can be better mitigated if we have better technology to bring the global community together. On a national level, I think we have learned a lot from Taiwan, South Korea, Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand. These are countries that have done very, very well. I think at the end of the day, it is the people that make the system work. It is the people in the government that make the government work. I think you really need a multi-ministry team that can bring together key stakeholders from the public sector, the private sector, and the people sector to come together. And the technology that we need at the start, you need technology to diagnose the virus very quickly. And that's something that I think the global community has failed and tripped ourselves over. We didn't have quite the technology to trace very quickly the virus. We also need technology to ensure that not only we trace the virus, but we also contact trace different people. And this is where I think we've got really good technology in terms of Internet of Things, in terms of apps. And unfortunately, we were not quite ready to convince and educate the people to use this contact tracing technology. South Korea has done very, very well. They have a critical mass of people who log onto the apps, and in some ways they're able to trace, how the virus has spread, within the community and society. Of course, we need better technology in terms of quarantining the different people, and of course, medical and healthcare technology to take care of the people very, very well. But on an organizational and individual level, I think we all need to play our part, because to be able to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is not just a top-down approach, it is also a bottom-up approach. If the people are not educated, they are not responsible, they are not proactive, they don't help one another, then no matter what anybody else do, we can't save ourselves, basically. So I think we really need to think through educational technology to ensure that people have the right information, they are not misled by fake information. Let me give you an example in my organization. Right at the beginning of the year, when we heard about what was happening in China, we actually formed two groups of people. We have one group of people to collect information and make sure that our people know how to protect themselves and ring fence themselves and make sure that they know how to take care of their health, basically. We also have another team to ensure business continuity, We make sure that the organization continue our operation and continue to survive and also succeed in the operation. And as we were doing this, we realized technology was very lacking. Let me give you an example. Now we all have to work from home, but we have been talking about it for a very long time. And there are many countries, many organizations that have done very well. They are able to get the people to work on a telecommuting basis using info communication technology. But by and large, most organizations were not ready to have their people to work at home. So I think...
sorry, Dr. Patrick, sorry, because we have a quite limited time, so we need to cut it. Thank you so much for your sharing. Last, I would like to ask Mr. Deepak Mathur, because you're for the next IEEE Region 10 for 2021. What actually the role of IEEE if this pandemic happen again for the next year? We do hope there is no pandemic again in new years. But in case that's happened again, what actually the role of IEEE to provide some of we call it prevention and what kind of mitigation? Go ahead, Mr. Deepak.
I think this is one of the very important question which is coming in the mind of all of us, and definitely this pandemic is going to give us a very good lesson of life, and many of the rules worldwide are going to change. So, and social distancing is going to be the norm. And in the era of technology, I think probably going digital is the way of doing the things. So technology is to be internet to be available widespread if we have to be digital, and if we have to have all transactions digital, we have to do things online, and we have to do many things virtual. Many offices will close, and the employees will do work from home, and they will be doing on video conferencing, they will be doing on teleconferencing, and probably it is the time to bring virtual reality and augmented reality into widespread use. So probably the technology will be reading, and IEEE is doing this, definitely going to play a very important role in future in the form of developing the standards, coming up with the new standards, and will give boost to the technology which is at the research level to come to the practice level, to the public, to the community. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Deepak. Mr. Kunchoro, do we have a time? Because I thought that we have one very good question that will be on the list. Do we have a time?
Maybe only for short answer, I guess.
Okay. One question, let me share to the audience, to the panelists. This is the question from Mr. Arnold Jiwatampu asking about the collaboration between each of sectors. As we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, actually this is not only become disaster for one sectors, only for the health, but this also impact with all of the sectors, starting from the economics until telecommunication and so many. If you look at Indonesia, actually there are so many projects that are supposed to be cancelled or delayed, or some of the problems, especially for the employment. According to the question of Mr. Arnold Jiwatampu, they're asking about how can working together between some sectors such as medical, transportation, and they need to planning implementation the complex situation, especially for the encountering of widespread pandemic, such as like COVID-19. Probably we can share this question to the panelists. Which one that want to answer the question? Probably Professor Lee or
maybe only one answer, I guess.
Yeah, only one answer. Probably Professor Lee or Dr. Patrick or
Pak Denny. Dr. Denny. So
Denny
with Indonesian context, I hope.
Mr. Arif.
Yeah, I think certainly the collaboration is needed among the different entities, different stakeholders, and I think this need more. In this situation, we are being forced to collaborate, and I think I don't know how, but it used to be in the normal time, we need to discuss face to face, and sometimes in Indonesia, to find time is very difficult because you have to go from one place and then you got in traffic and so on. But with maybe this video conference, Zoom or whatever it is, I feel sometimes we have more productive time, right? Indeed, right? I think so what it is that to find the right people, to set up the time frame and to set up the which subject in the timely manner, so we're more organized. Because I think we are not being caught by traffic anymore, right? But I think somehow we need some guideline and we need some task force. And hopefully that this is being handled by the task force of COVID-19 led by national team of the disaster management. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. So I guess it is time to close the panel, Pak Ford.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Tomorrow, I have a few comments for the question. Is that okay?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. So I think I agree with Danny a lot, and I think a lot of these answers that we have today are very good. Now, especially when we look at the pandemic right now, I think a few keywords came to my mind. One is cross-disciplinary. Now, in addition to the high tech, which facilitates, say, for example, IoT and communication, when people communicate, when people have different background and different disciplines, say, for example, medical, economy, and also engineering, now communication becomes a very important thing, especially cross-disciplinary communities. Now, the other thing that we need to look at is that as we start having lockdowns and also social distancing, which, as Deepak was saying, will be a norm, I think the other thing that people is thinking is that because all humans are social animals, so when we get locked down or work from home, we get to have anxiety and loneliness. So our technology and all the policies and everything also need to look at people's heart, people's feeling. So that comes back to our IEEE advancing technology for humanity.
Thank you so much, Professor Lee. Thank you so much. I guess
so I
all
think
of
it's time to
provide a very wonderful and marvelous kind of response to the question, I guess, Pak Kunchoro, yeah. But we have a very limited time, so we need to continue for the next session. First of all, we'd like to thank for all of the panelists, especially for the presentation and, of course, with the answer from the question from the floor. And then we will moving to the next stage. I would like to give the time to Pak Kunchoro.
No, actually the conclusion will be presented by Pak Satrio, our
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So please, Pak Satrio Darmanto. Pak Satrio.
By the way, Pak Kunchoro, let me share about Pak Satrio first. Pak Satrio is the former IEEE Indonesia Section Chair. He's also the part of the advisory board committee. And of course, he's the CEO of the PT Multicom Global Indonesia, one of the prominent telecommunication company in here. Pak Satrio have a lot of wide range of the experiences for international relationships. And of course, the sharing from him about this conclusion, this will be beneficial for all of us. Mr. Satrio, the time is yours. Thank you. Pak Kunchoro, Pak Satrio. Probably we waiting for Pak Satrio, and perhaps Pak Kunchoro, would you mind to provide some kind of summary or some kind of conclusion from our discussion today? Go ahead, Pak Kunchoro.
I think I will wait for Pak Satrio for another minute.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Thank you. Pak Satrio, probably you can unmute the speaker first. Unmute it. Yeah. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead,
please.
Pak Satrio.
Sorry, maybe my headphone is a problem. Okay, thank you very much, Pak Ford and Pak Kunchoro. And thank you very much to everybody, especially to all of the participants and to the Ministry of the Research and Technology, and as well as the wonderful speaker in this webinar series in this very special Indonesia National Education Day. After we learned from the minister and all of the respective well-known speakers, we can summarize some point of similarity and coherences as described as hereunder. From the government perspective, leadership and global perspective, the minister explained that the pandemic COVID-19 will affect global economy into global recessions and approach the real economy. No country can escape to this condition. For us, there are many challenges to use digital platform in order that we can start to live in the new normal. In this time, to us to profit that the implementation of digital economy will be really important as a substitute to the real economy and will be creating more efficient productivity result. Even though this condition will also create more job loss and furthermore create worse case of poverty. We do hope then we can still create new type of job, only the way to use less labor people, with the obligation to make the poverty rate will decrease and for sure will become a problem. Teamwork will be a significant agenda to the new normal and can still create the job for the people. The beauty of research and technology will transfer to save the pandemic problem, especially in Indonesia case disruption. The advancement of new technology is really important. We can create more creativity technology, big data, and artificial intelligence become great solution and big challenge during and after crisis. The minister also requests us, the community of engineers, to make sure the digital technology can fulfill new type of job and opportunity for better future. Mr. Deepak Mathur, from organizational perspective, said that IEEE, with more than 422,000 members in over 160 countries, consists of 329 sections in 10 geographic regions worldwide, are currently going virtual during the pandemic situation related to COVID-19, such as for regular meeting, for knowledge sharing, for igniting mind. Furthermore, IEEE also made collaboration among technical societies, project to product, video conferencing to virtual reality, and also educate to the product to the level. The innovation to overcome the solution of the crisis. Dr. Crisley, from industry and academic perspective, lecture us that during the emergency situation like this crisis, we have to recognizing the crisis, make early preparation, managing crisis, make fast response, tracking, quarantine, screening, and also will be more beneficial if we can maximize in using technology approach, like big data, high-tech, and artificial intelligence. We have to make teamwork, mutual trust between academy, industry, and government role against COVID-19 life or livelihood, during and after, in order to get balancing well-being and economy for humanity. Mr. Arif Hamdani Gunawan from industrial perspective shared us that there are at least 3 different approaches to provide objective solution to stop COVID-19 and save our recover future economics. The first approach is using engineering approach, consists of input, process, and output. There is a dichotomy between stop COVID-19 and save the economy. Then we have to think that final objective should be simple, either to health problem or economic problem. Based on MIT technology review, we can do both shutting down the country to protect COVID-19 spread, and in the quickest way to get the started back again, reviving economy. The second approach is using the concept of benevolent panoption. The concept is changed to reinvent the way we collect and share private information securely and autonomously. And then the third approach is using the concept of new normal rather than normal approach, which are management engineering such as work from home, social engineering, physical distancing, communication engineering, synchronous communication, and video communication. Therefore, it requires engineering teamwork in various science for facing the new normal. Teamwork is another basic ingredient for success. However, with effective teamwork, this can be achieved much more easily, more quickly, and will provide higher quality results. And then Dr. Patrick Clew, from business perspective, just elaborated that the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted global economy. Technology is good master how technology to be used to manage actualities. We need to redesign the new term of technology. Long life technology, finding purpose, values, and fulfillment through technology. Educational technology be deployed to scale up and accelerate our power to protect and improve quality of life and not destroy and decrease quality of life. Team members that work effectively in alignment with the right plan, model, structure, and process to fulfill a shared mission of achieving greater good for humanity. Dr. Denis Setiawan, from the government of Indonesia perspective, provide us some view that this pandemic situation made impacts to some sector with negative and positive impacts, such as the positive impact of the ICT industry. COVID-19's impact on data usage, percentage of time usage of Wi-Fi are increased. The overall traffic levels on the mobile network in Indonesia have increased with 5 to 10% traffic. 80% Indonesians spending most of their time at home. Lifestyle choice such as consuming more vitamin. However, there are some negative impact to the industry such as financial stress, which some people started to worry about future income. Some of the business institutions are going more difficult to survive.
Yes.
Dr. Denis Setiawan also provide recommendation to us for short-term solution, boosting internet capacity for healthy facilities, providing reliable and affordable internet access to enable communication, documentation transmission, and possible remote diagnostic. To manage risk of network congestion and increase mobile network capacity, including broadband network. And for medium time solution, accelerate effort to close the broadband digital divide, enabling access to digital service using e-government, digital infrastructure aspects. So, based on all of the respective speakers, there are some similarities and coherences conclusion that the engineer can contribute to solve the problem. The beauty of research and technology will transfer to save the pandemic problem, especially in Indonesia case disruption. The advancement of new technology is really important. We can create more creative technology, such as big data and artificial intelligence, become great solution and big challenge during and after crisis. We have to find more value and fulfillment through technology to get long life technology. We have to bridging industry, academia, and government during and after pandemic. Effective teamwork. This can be achieved much more easily, more quickly, and will provide higher quality results. Collaboration among engineers, industry, academics, policymakers, and government are become important agenda to survive COVID-19 pandemic and provide solution to the societies. Teamwork and collaborative research in the field of e-commerce, telecommunication, education, and health service, and strengthening the policy of the government to continuing the develop resilient broadband network. The pandemic that has been going on for several months has led the government from various countries to ask their people to stay at home, using digital technology, especially in the use of digital communication channels to anticipate development and have prepared the facing crisis and recovery plan. With the social distancing, which are applicable to many countries, and internet are become a really dependable technology to be used by so many people. So as a leader, we must think strategically, which work more efficiently across organizational boundaries and understand any availability priorities, plan and monitor the implementation of complex programs and overcome any challenges that are not easy. Last but not least, I would like to quote one of the wonderful quotes as here under. Technology is nothing. What's important is that you have a faith in people, that they are basically good and smart. And if you give them tools, they will do wonderful things with them. Steve Jobs, was the chairman, CEO, and co-founder Apple Inc. So we have to continuing build a culture of collaborative dialogue in various fields, including in the field of scientific, academic, engineering, industrial, cultural, political, policymaker, government, as well as innovative creation. Teamwork, the various discipline is needed. In planning and implementing the complex situation, encountering such as widespread and pandemic outbreak of illness and disease such as COVID-19. It involves social conditions and environmental in dense population areas. Again, teamwork has become the most important technology. In the other end, we have the same agenda to protect the earth, safely to become our common home, current and to the common future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satrio. Now, I would like to return to Pak Kunchoro. Go ahead, Pak Kunchoro.
So the conclusion from Pak Satrio is the final part of this seminar. 2 hours has passed plus some minutes, giving us new insight and motivation to maximize our capability and competence in collaboration and teamwork spirit to overcome the crisis. This is only the first of 3 webinars prepared as the part of the series, and we will see you again next June. Don't forget to fill the feedback form prepared by the committee. The digital certificate will be provided only for those who submit the feedback. Many thanks and see you next month. IEEE Advancing Technology for Humanity.
Just wait for a minute. We would like to have a photo session.
Yes, please.
If you mind
photo
to
session.
On all of the video, but before the presentations, on behalf of the committee, we would like to sincere our appreciation and thank you, especially to the Director Region 10, Professor Sensei, and then IEEE Indonesia Section Chair, Professor Wisnu, and of course the Singapore Section. And indeed, especially for all of the panelists that come today, Professor Lee, Professor Dr. Patrick, Mr. Deepak Mathurs, and of course, Dr. Denny, and Mr. Arif Gunawan. And of course, all of the participants coming already registered for today. I'm afraid the total is more than 400 participants that registered for today. It's quite, it's humongous, there's a lot. And I don't know, this is the blessing for COVID-19, but I don't know, because if you put it this online, offline or on site, I'm not sure we can have it 400 participants in one site. Please open your video, and then we can take the photo sessions. And after that, we can say thank you, goodbye, and then we meet again for the webinar for the second series. Please turn on the video, please. Thank you so much. It takes about 1 minute. Okay, thank you so much. And see you again for the second webinars. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Prof.
Thank you very much.
Nice presentation.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.